Okay, no intro music because it's still sad piano music and the mood is not sad. I am the most pissed I've been in I don't even know how long. Welcome to Oh Brother News. I'm Gabe
I'm James.
and we are brothers and I am fucking furious. Like last week I was like, okay, I'm going to try to use the least amount of fucks possible going forward. And then this week happened and there's just no way to just 50% of the things I say are going to be fuck this episode. Here are some of the things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the fake as fuck ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia
Yeah.
that lasted 2 minutes before Russia launched a massive attack. We're going to talk about this motherfucking piece of shit carpet, Cuck the Schmuck, formerly known as Chuck Schumer, pulling an Uncle Tom like an absolute fucking fleshlight. We're going to talk about uh, illegal deportations, which will segue us right into Republicans versus judges. We're going to talk about a really interesting, insightful video from Kara Swisher, where she was discussing Elon Musk, who she's known for a long time, and kind of Silicon Valley uh, tech leaders in general. She had a lot of interesting insights. We'll link that video. And I'm not sure. Maybe some of the things we still have all of the you know Instagram and watch and comment, and there's some more of those we might get to. So we'll see where the day takes us. Where do you want to start? You said
Hey,
you
you
had two
start.
things actually before we started. So what was your other thing?
Um, deportations, Ukraine, and well,
What was the other two?
the judges really. The it doesn't matter. Chuck Schumer thing is fine. That's a good way.
Yes, let's talk about Cock the Schmuck. So, oh my God. So the Democrats had a point of leverage because the Republicans needed to pass either a budget or a continuing resolution that's like, well, we're not going to pass a budget because lol, why the fuck would we do that? We're just a government who needs responsibility. But let's just kick that can down the road a little bit and just let all the shit we're already doing be cool. Is that cool? Would that be fine with everyone? And in order to pass this continuing resolution, excuse me, they needed 60 votes because that's what you need to get to have a majority that can't be filibustered. So they needed 60 votes, but the problem was there's only 53 Republicans and one and luckily only one JD Vance, just luckily for all the couches out there. So, they were at an impasse and they couldn't do it without Democrats. So the Democrats could say, hey, you can shut the government down, I guess, end Medicaid payments. Kids are going to die because they're trying to go to the hospital on Medicaid for their cancer treatments and they just won't be able to. So the children will die and we won't have any Social Security payments. So a bunch of old people will have bad stuff happen. Everyone will be super upset with you, but you'll have accomplished your mission of closing down the government. That was the gun that the Democrats were holding to the head of Trump and the Republican Party. And Chuck Schumer traded it away for LOL fucking nothing because he's a cuck bitch piece of shit who can't negotiate his way out of a fucking paper bag. He's completely fucking worthless. Just a dead zombie being propped up by cuckery and Donald Trump's anger, I suppose. I don't know. I'm too angry to be eloquent, but it was such a betrayal. It was just a full on let's take our singular bargaining chip and give it away for fuck all. Like I don't care what the fuck else he does. I don't care if Chuck Schumer causes the Democrats to win 100% of all of the next elections for the next 10 years. Fuck him. Get him out of office. He is not And so it wasn't just Chuck Schumer, by the way. They needed seven. They needed 7 votes from Democrats. They got 10, including my senator, Dick Durbin. Everybody on this list is fucking dead to me. They all need to go. Every motherfucking one of them. And everybody else who was saying, "Oh, this was a good idea. This was 4-dimensional chess." No, no, it was one-dimensional sucking down Trump's cock. Okay, I'm gonna stop screaming for a few minutes, and you can tell me your thoughts.
I think, rightly so. And my first reaction was not too different than yours. You know, like, what the fuck? But when you really think about it, and you put down the anger, and you think about what would have happened if it didn't, if they did block it, and it went to shutdown.
I want all of it to
Which,
happen.
okay, let's think about that. All
Okay,
right. So
talk
let's think
about it.
about it. All right. Government shuts down. Now,
Mhm.
every one of those agencies, right, that Trump and them are trying to strong arm and get things out and close them all down and dragging it around, and people are going to court and they're kind of doing things, I mean, they're doing a lot of damage, but, it's not all at once, right? People in the University of, or the Institute of Peace that literally barricaded themselves in their offices, and the Doge people came there with, their little paramilitary force. You know what I mean? um, you know, it's it it's happening slowly, right? And it's making news, and things are happening. And as they're ham-handedly, shutting stuff down and pissing people off, and as approvals going down and everything else, right? And they're hurting people. You know, that's all happening not immediately. Now, Democrats say, okay, hey, no, I don't like this. You're cutting all this stuff. You're cutting all this stuff. You made this CR that's going to cut all these departments and cut all the spending for all these places, right? And yes, Democrats weren't consulted on any of it. They just did the deal themselves amongst themselves, Republicans, and then said, hey, vote for it or we shut it down. Republicans wanted to shut it down. They always want to shut it down because they don't like federal government. And if the Democrats would have said, it's almost like calling a bluff. It's almost like calling their bluff, right? It's like, shit. All right, if we shut it down, all agencies stop. All military stops being paid. Everybody stops getting paid, and Democrats get blamed for it because they're the ones,
No, the
blocking it.
Democrats would not get blamed for it.
Well,
Absolutely not. Trump is in power. You're telling me that if the government shuts down less than less than 2 months after Trump takes office, that they would blame the Democrats? Dude, the Democrats aren't in charge of shit. The Democrats
hey, you're the
they have
one.
no power. There's no way
You
they would get blamed for it.
well, you're the one also always talking about how the messaging. Who is all over the podcast? Who has the stuff on the internet? Who has all the radio? Who's on the P? I mean, it's Republicans usually own the messaging, right? They win the messaging war usually, right? As far as you know, out and about media places, everything else, right? And who has the White House? Who can sit there and scream and talk about the Democrats shutting everything down? We have a majority. The Republicans have a majority. We have a majority, but the Democrats are filibustering because they want everything to shut down,
Okay,
right?
but James, here's the thing.
Now, here's it. But
Okay,
hold on. But let's think about this now. Okay, the government shuts down. All right, and
okay.
Democrats would have to say, yeah, even though they have a majority and they have the votes to pass it, we're not letting it pass because he wants to do all these things and do even worse cuts. Okay, so now, boom, everything's shut down. Military's not being paid. Everything's being shut down, and all of these other agencies where the people are, they're all shuttered overnight. Everything they want to get rid of, all the stuff they want to cut, all the federal funding from every one of these places, they want to fire tens and thousands of people. Cool. They all just leave. They all have to go home because the government shut down. They all have to go home. And then what happens? Trump just goes in there and locks the doors, change the locks. Boom, they're done. Take all the signs off. We don't have to do anything to close them down. It's already closed down.
Here are the two options. Okay, here's the way
And
these
remember,
two
it's 6 months.
options
And remember,
actually
it's
work.
6 months. It's a 6 month thing, too, remember. All right.
Here's the way these two options actually work. Okay, option one: they slowly they slowly choke the life out of government in a
Mm-hmm.
way that hurts a few people and a few more 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 people. And there's this
Mm-hmm.
wave of outrage. A couple people get pissed, and then, oh, okay, well, now we're on to the next. And a couple other people get pissed. Oh, and then we're on to the next. And a
Mm-hmm.
couple other
And
people
now you
get
have
pissed.
midterms.
Oh, we're on to the next. And what that is That is the American people, America, the country itself, being a frog in a pot of water where the
Yep.
temperature is slowly rising. And so they don't jump out. They don't run into the streets and go, what the fuck? Nobody gets pissed. Everyone just sort of slowly accepts as it gets worse, slowly. But if the Democrats hadn't said, you know what? You want to shut it all down? Do it. Shut it all the fuck down. Let's see how that goes. Everyone would have been fucking furious simultaneously, and people would have been in the streets, and they would have been complaining, and they would have been saying, what in the fuck are you doing? We're coming for your fucking necks. Fix it now. Everyone furious at the same time. That is the thing that we need, because here's the truth. Okay, Trump isn't going to leave office. He's going to stay, and Trump isn't going to not dismantle government because we didn't allow the shutdown. He's going to shut it down anyway. He just signed the fucking executive order to shut down the Department of Education. He's just going to do it more slowly, and nobody's going to get pissed, and he's going to have 6 more months to slowly choke it to death before there's even another chance to do the thing that we could have done today, or that we could have done a few days ago, and said, do it. Do it. Burn it all the fuck down. Let's see how that goes. They're gonna kill it either way. The difference is not, oh, they kill it or they don't kill it. The difference is they kill it slowly, and not enough people pay attention because not enough people suffer because of it, or they turn it off immediately and everyone is fucking furious at the same time now. You just gave him 6 more months to fucking choke us to death slowly. That's all he accomplished.
Hmm. Yeah, but you forget 6 months from now, that will be 1 year before midterms, right? And that's about the time when everybody starts running for office. And about that time, you have about another 2 months of actual legislation, and then nothing happens because it's all people running for office. You only have about 1 year. 1 year is your timeline in politics to do stuff. You have a year. Then everybody has to run for office, run for re-election, or run for the House seats, the entire House up for votes.
How many
Yet
senators get 6 years?
senators do, but the House doesn't. Every single member of House every 2 years.
Every 2 years, yeah.
And that's what they're looking at. They're thinking, hey, and then Chuck Schumer, if there was like Jame Carville talked about that the other day on the podcast, and he's like, yeah, Democrats, they smell blood and everything else, but ultimately he probably did the right thing because it was bad either way. It's either immediately turn everything off, and then Trump can just go ahead and dismantle everything and do whatever they want to do, and then the Democrats get blamed for not paying the military and all these other people, and right now Trump's numbers, the Republicans' numbers keep plummeting. The stock market's plummeting. It's looking like, if things keep at this path,
Can you imagine what
yeah,
the stock market would have done
a
if the
nosedive.
entire government shut down?
Oh yeah, nosedive. It
Exactly.
would
This is the
nosedive.
thing that we need, James. Like, this is
It's
exactly
already
and exclusively the thing that we need. We need the most pain to the most people because it's coming for you. It's coming one way or another. Like, whether you realize it or not, the leopards that eat faces are coming to eat your face. Whether you think you're safe because you're special, you voted for Donald Trump, you've got all the MAGA hats, like, it doesn't matter. They're still coming to eat your face.
yeah, but
So
they're
we
but
should
right
we should
now,
have the leopard start eating the faces now.
yes, but here's the thing though. Right now, as they're doing it slowly and what they're targeting, like Jen Psaki did a great thing on this the other day when she was talking about it. She's like, he thinks he's owning the libs. He's really doing is owning his own fans. Because most of the things that they're doing and all the things they're going after and all the things they're slow walking doing overwhelmingly is hurting the red states. It's hurting his voters. It's actually overwhelmingly hurting red voters. And like the whole infrastructure, like the Inflation Reduction Act stuff, that they're rolling back, is like 80% of all the funding went to red districts, rural district red districts. It's 80% of that is he is targeting his own people. All the other things they're talking about when they're talking about going and dipping into Medicaid and they're talking about all these, it's overwhelmingly hurting his own people. So everybody's getting mad, and his numbers are already dropping, and they're thinking, hey, this is the way we can save it. Let's keep on hurting the people he's hurting, but let's not hurt everybody in the country all in one fell swoop because it doesn't really. And here's the other thing: what would You said they had all the leverage. Democrats had all the leverage. What leverage? What's the leverage?
The
What were they
leverage.
going to get out of it? What would they have gotten out of it other than having a government shutdown, which
No,
Trump
no,
and
no.
Elon really
Here's the
wanted?
thing. Here's the thing. They should. The only thing. Okay, in order to play a long game, you have to have enough time for a long game to pay off. Okay. And now, in a normal political situation, when they're not dismantling the government, and he said before the election, go vote this one last time, and
I
then we'll
know.
fix it, and you'll never have to vote again. He wasn't fucking
Mhm.
joking. It wasn't
I
a
know.
haha funny times. There's not going to be a fucking midterm, James.
I agree with that. I think there
There's not
will
going to
be.
be a midterm. And if
Well,
there is going to be, it's not going to be real. There's going to be some, emergency powers, executives, hibbity bibbity, challenged by the courts. The courts are going to be like, no, and he's going to be like, well, okay, you and what army? And that's going to be fucking it.
it
Okay,
might be, but
and the,
here's the
and
thing,
the
though.
only
We're all.
way, you stop that, okay, there's I can't remember. I got a video I'm gonna find and I'm gonna attach. It's like a short one. It's like a 5 minute video, but it's somebody talking about what it takes to stop a fascist coup.
Yeah, yeah. You said two and a
And
half percent. 2.5% of people. Yeah, it's 2.5%
yes,
of the population. Yeah, I was watching that too.
yes, you have to have an extended. Oh, 'cause I sent it to you. You have to have an extended. I think it was 3.5, but whatever. 2.5 to 3.5.
It was Chris
You
Hayes
have
was
to have
talking
an
about it.
extended protest. Okay, you need 3.5% of the population in the streets. That means
Hmm.
uh, however many was it? 10 million people. So that means you need 10 million people in the streets continuously until we get what we want. Okay, and that's the thing that the Democrats need. They don't need to think about what the fuck is going to happen with an election 6 months from now. The gun is at your head now, mother. Like you don't know that you're going to have a fucking face that won't have been shot with a fucking gun 6 months from now. You don't get to think about 6 months from now. You have to worry about the gun pointed at your fucking face right now today. It's trying to kill you now, not later.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
the time that we need 10 million people in the streets protesting continuously, doing a work strike, tanking the fucking stock market, putting pressure everywhere, putting pain everywhere is yesterday. Okay? It's 2 months ago. So no, 6 months from now, who the fuck knows if it'll even matter then?
but here's the thing, though, and this is another thing that James Carville was talking about. All right, and here's why Democrats didn't do that, and here's why they're betting on we're not quite to that point yet. And it's not a horrible. It's not horrible if you think about it. It's actually kind of smart. The election. Think of the Kamala Harris, Donald Trump. Final stretch. What were Democrats hammering home the most? What messages were being hammered home the most? Authoritarian. He's trying to do, you know what I mean, right? He's authoritarian. He's doing this. Wants to be a dictator. He said it. Blah 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 blah. And do you know what that did?
Nothing.
It not only did nothing. It actually turned votes towards Trump.
Right? And what Trump
Right?
did was he said, "I'm going to fix the economy. I'm going to fix
But
the
here's the thing.
economy."
Yeah,
So
but
if
here's the
you
thing.
if
But
you
yeah,
destroy the economy,
but here's the thing. People didn't like that message. They didn't quite believe it, right? And so the Democrats are like, all right, beating down he's being an authoritarian playbook. Didn't win any votes. And in fact, it just turned people away because it's like a negative message and it turned people away, right? So they're going to, hey, the Medicare, Medicaid, the things that everybody agrees with that polls well for Democrats and actually does get them votes, right? And then they're like, all right, so far, courts are ruling against him. Everything else, he hasn't had to defy the Supreme Court. Now he's about to go in contempt for this other thing here, probably the deportation I want to talk about. But that's why he's not quite there yet. They haven't like defied the Supreme Court. They're not quite there yet. Let him keep hanging himself slowly. And if they start to go there, then hey, people can come out in the streets and we can start demonstrating, getting everybody out there and whipping up demonstrations and protests like that. But until it becomes obvious to everybody, not just me and you and some people who are watching, right? Until it becomes obvious to everybody, it's not a message that sells. And so they don't want to do something that will kill themselves politically when if they like, hey, we just let him keep hanging himself a little bit. You know what I mean? Let's not get the blame for this. It's already going to shit. We can hang out. We can hold on a little bit longer. It's like uh, the analogy he used was like the Ukrainians, right? It's like, hey, or like Valley Forge, against the British, right? If they would have came up there and said, hey, the British are coming here, they have all this big armada coming here. If Washington would have sat there and said, we're gonna fight them right now, there's no turning back. We have to get him right now, and fought at the beach. Then the revolution would have been over as quick as it started. Instead, they bought their time. They retreated. They retreated. They went to Valley Forge, where, by the way, they set up mandatory vaccines. Then they
Okay,
waited it out.
this is
Right?
nothing like a
It kind of is.
Revolutionary War
Well,
era
what you're
battle.
talking about
This
it,
is nothing like that.
and it kind of is. You have an
No,
authoritarian.
the
America's found.
idea the idea that they're that the Republicans can have the presidency, the Senate, the House, the Supreme Court, all at the same time, talking about the biggest win ever, talking about it's a mandate, 4 months, okay? And then try to say, oh, the reason you're suffering right now is because of Obama. Oh,
Well, they're
like,
not saying that, but
okay, but like this, is what I'm saying, I'm illustrating the point because he does say that when the economy goes back, he's, oh, this is the Obama economy. This is the Joe Biden economy. That's why it's tanking. Like I know that like it didn't start tanking until 2 months after I was in, but like this is actually like Joe Biden that did this. Just he did it before he left, and then now I just have to like eat it. It's not all these wild ass decisions I'm making.
he's still up there. Actually, he's not even saying that right now because he's still he
Like
was trying to
there's
say that the egg prices are coming down because the wholesale prices went down.
there's no way to sell to sell this problem as
Uh,
being the fault of the Democrats when you are in control of fucking everything, unless people are not really hurt by it.
hmm,
If you're like, oh, so I hear about someone over there is suffering, that sure sounds bad, but I'm fine. Nothing's wrong here with me. Everything's cool and fine and dandy for me. Then you can be like, oh, I guess it must be just Joe Biden. It's so weird. The ghost of Joe Biden, the worst president ever, still just fucking us from beyond the grave. What a horrible guy. Hate him.
yeah.
You can be that disconnected from reality when your house isn't on fire. But your house being on fire has this amazing effect where suddenly you don't go like, nope, I don't think it's on fire. Definitely not. Must be somebody else's. Maybe it's those darn Mexicans. You don't have the luxury of bullshit when your house is on fire. You have to recognize that it's on fire and start putting water on it, or you fucking die immediately. You don't have any extra time. That is the thing that they need to do. That's the only thing they should have done. They shouldn't have given him anything. There should have been no condition under which that he could have got them to vote for the continuing resolution. They should have said, hey, guess what? The government's going to shut down no matter what the fuck you offer us, and we're going to go on TV and say that you wouldn't give us anything. You offered us go fuck ourselves, and we just said, hey, what if we just keep Medicare and Social Security because people need those things? We're going to say that, but there's literally nothing you could offer us, and we're just going to lie. We're just going to lie and say, oh, we just wanted something totally reasonable and small, and you just wouldn't give it to us. And every single Democrat is going to say that. All 300 of us on all the podcasts and all the TV shows and all the press conferences, we're going to say the same thing. And you can go out there and try to sell the fact that you're fucking killing everyone, that you've lit the entire country on fire and tanked the stock market and turned off the whole fucking government and children are dying. You can go out there and try to sell that as being our fault. But everyone knows you have a mandate and you have the biggest win of all time and you're all in charge. Good fucking luck. Give him that problem.
Hmm.
Or, pull a Schumer and suck his dick instead. Like, there's nothing more obvious that you as a Democrat have fucked up than when Donald Trump name drops you in a Truth Social post to
Says
say
how
that you
great you
did
are.
something brave.
Meh.
Okay? There is no clearer indication that you have fucked up like egregiously and bigly than Donald Trump giving you a by name shout out on Truth Social.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
I hope AOC primaries him. I
Yeah.
seriously do. I hope everyone who thinks this was a good idea fucking dies a swift political death. I'd love for them to all live and be happily and healthy, but just get the fuck out of politics because you are not at all what the fuck we need. And like the idea that like that this is like the smart strategy. These are the smart strategy people who brought us Biden, I'm gonna, just be one term transitional, and then Biden, like, actually, I want to still be in charge. Biden, who was like, what if instead of a primary, I just like looked so terrible that we waited till the last minute and then we threw up Kamala Harris, who has no possible chance of distancing herself from me because the same the same people who brought us Joe Biden fucks the entire process are going to give us Kamala Harris doesn't distance herself from Joe Biden, who's incredibly unpopular for his whole fucking presidency. Like, no. No, the four-dimensional chess people all need to shut the fuck up and go home. They're the reason we're fucked in this exact way. Because you know what Joe Biden could have done? Joe Biden could have fucking said, "Hey, I'm going to raise the minimum wage and just do all that and just bang that drum." The only thing I want to do, you know what I want to do? I want everyone to get $30 an hour. That's what I want. You little guy, that's right. Vote for me. $30 an hour minimum wage. That's the only thing I care about. That's it. Just it. Just that. Just you.
Hmm.
He could have said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, these fucking strategists are completely full of shit. They're not even full of shit. They're like obviously complicit. This is not a two-team thing.
Well, we'll see. There is encouraging news though. Like talk about how he's been slashing everything and cutting everything, and they've been destroying agencies left and right.
I saw a
Well, did
lot
you
of
see?
that.
You saw the news how they had to bring back 25,000, and the USAID has to be fully restored, and they have to rehire everybody that they let go, and they have to have them all back in the buildings. And Elon Musk is no longer allowed to be, running Doge, and they have to suspend all that stuff. You didn't see all that news?
I did not see that, but that's a lot of good news.
Yeah.
Tell me
So in
more.
light of that, Schumer's thing may have been the better move if the courts can hold. You know what I mean? Yeah, if you
Okay, but
look,
they're talking about so let's talk about the courts holding because now what are all the Republicans saying? What are they saying, James?
oh, they're saying that they need to impeach those judges, and they're saying that they need to go, and they're just some, and actually the Department of Justice in the other case I want to talk about the rounding up a bunch of innocent people and sending them into slavery in El Salvador. They actually put in the Department of Justice. They filed a motion in their brief to the court. They said that there is two branches of government: the executive branch and the legislative branch. And some federal judge doesn't have any say in what happens in the government. Yes, two branches of government. Yeah, that's what the Department of Justice actually presented in federal court. That's what they're saying. They're saying that the courts don't matter and they can do whatever the hell they want. But
Yeah, and I saw the Stephen Miller tweets where he's just like, judges can't challenge the president. He's stealing time, the most precious resource, from a president who only has a short 4 years to accomplish the raping of the entire country. How's he gonna kill all the non-whites in only 4 years if the judges keep opposing him?
yeah, hmm. Yeah. So they ruled that all those terminations were illegal. They also ruled that since what was it about Elon Musk? They said since Elon Musk, what was it? They're basically saying that he cannot be in charge of Doge, and even though in court they're trying to say he doesn't, then they said the reality is so much more obvious than what they're basically saying. They're lying in the court briefs because they're trying to say that Elon Musk doesn't run it. He's just an advisor to the president, but he doesn't actually run this government agency. And they're like, yeah, that's obviously not true. He can have no part in it. They have to reinstate everybody. And it's not just USAID. They said the USAID had to be fully restored, but it was also like what is it, like 18 agencies? That's why they're bringing back so many people and everything else. I'm trying to find the full story. Uh,
It's
yeah, it's
like
the
it's like retards trying to pull a Jedi mind trick on these judges, and the judges are like, "If you think I'm stupid enough to do that, I've got a bridge I'd like to sell you."
Yeah, so they said the filings in the lawsuit filed by 19 states and DC provided the most detailed accounting to date of the administration's mass layoffs. All right. Notably, they excluded workers at the Department of Defense and the Office of Personnel Management and National Archives and Records Administration, which is funny because Maryland federal judge said they haven't produced evidence for that one yet. But whatever. They went on and on and on, and they said all employees offered reinstatement into full due status will have to be onboarded again, including filling out human resources paperwork, obtaining new security badges, re-enrolling in benefits and payroll, reinstituting applicable security clearance, receiving government furnished equipment for all the stuff they got rid of, other requisite administrative actions such as auditing personnel requests to ensure that any actions would have been otherwise taken during their period of separation are completed. Additionally, an appellate ruling could reverse the district's court shortly after terminated employees have been reinstated. Um, Yes, as in short, employees could be subjected to multiple changes in their employment status in a matter of weeks, but for right now, they all have to come back. And they had to reopen the buildings and bring everybody back in. So, and they started doing it. They're complying with that one right now. That's why they're rehiring all these people and bringing back in there. And even though they were shredding everybody's documents and everything else, that's kind of why they had to obtain all new stuff, all paperwork, make them go through all the pain of doing it all over again because the government was trying to shred everything and burn everything and hide the evidence of who it was. I mean, they have to bring them all back. So there's that win. And if they can get held off and the courts can hold them in check for a little bit, in 6 months, I mean, shit, look at Trump's legal shit first. He was still going through court all the way up until the moment he got elected. You know what I mean? Right?
Yep.
It's been 8 years. Courts aren't that quick. So he may not, 6 months could, everything can hold for 6 months if the court system can drag its feet like it did for Trump. You know what I mean? So there's hope. There's hope that shit can stay there. But if we did a government shutdown, I mean, fuck, man, everything would just get tanked. Boom, everything's closed. It'd be bad, be a lot of pain right off the bat, and then they would be able to just go through and lock all the doors and shutter everything they don't want. And yes, it's like they said, it's the acceleration argument. You're arguing that we should let them do it. We should let them fuck everybody in the country over all at once,
We should force
real
it.
quick, because then it's going to hurt everybody, and the country will just fall apart. And you're taking the risk. They're not going to blame the Democrats. They will just blame Trump, even if the Democrats. You know what I mean? So it's a risky argument. It's one that could really bite you in the ass. And if people start protesting, like those quote illegal protests from those Democrats, hey shit, maybe they start using the military, who's already mad that they're not getting paid and everything else, and they start rounding people up and saying they're terrorists. And now we're all in El Salvador.
Okay, but play it out, bro. Play it out. What are you going to do? You're going to arrest your entire population? You know what
Oh, you don't
happens to all of your treasure? It immediately all evaporates.
Oh, no, 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 no. That's the El Salvador deal. It's very cheap. That's why they said like we sold those people into slavery.
No, no, no,
It's
dude.
very
No, no, no.
profitable to
No, no,
send
no,
them
no, no.
to other
No.
countries.
If you first of all, okay.
They're trying to name Act Blue a terrorist organization.
First of all, if you have 10 million people in the streets, that means you have to arrest and jail 10 million people. As we
Well,
have talked about before on the topic of deportation, we don't have the capacity to jail that many people. That's thing number one. Okay? Thing number two is if you have 10 million people who aren't going to do their jobs and who are in the streets, you're going to massively disrupt the ability of the other 300 million people or 290 million people to go to work and do their jobs effectively.
you're also
Okay?
taking a big gamble that there are going to be 10 million people in the streets.
Dude, if you shut down the entire
It didn't happen
government.
last few times it happened. This has happened many times since, since I've been in high school until now.
Okay, but it happened under conditions where everyone was trying to keep the party going.
No,
Everyone had the same objective of to keep the government's lights on.
no, it did not.
Yes, it did. The Republicans
No.
were never trying to end government completely before.
Well, this government, the Trump administration is not trying to end government. They're trying to end all of the programs of the government that Republicans have always wanted to get rid of. They want to get rid of the Department of Education. They want to get rid of the EPA. They want to get rid of OSHA and workers' safeties. They want to get
I
rid of
mean,
anything that
does the
helps
EPA
consumers.
does the EPA matter when the head of it is a fucking oil lobbyist who just rolled back what was it 50 or 100 different laws so like we can we
Well,
can cut down they close like the 10 offices and like the belt of disease where there's like all the chemical plants and like the mineral processing plants in this like belt of like a couple 100 mile stretch, and there were some EPA offices around there that were regulating those industries, and they like closed all of those EPA offices because again the head of the EPA is like a oil lobbyist, so he's just getting rid of regulations that were choking America's ability to do industry. We weren't doing industry before because there were too many regulations. Like the idea that like we're saving anything is so nonsensical. as they are gutting the EPA, they're gutting the USDA, they're getting rid of the fucking national parks, for Christ's sake. The head of the the head of the like national forest. God, what is, I can't remember what it is. Like the land, the Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah,
The head of that guy is like a
like a logger.
forest. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
logger.
fucking logger. He's a fucking logger.
Yeah.
Like the foxes are not in the hen house. Okay, the foxes are in the fucking farmhouse. Okay, and they're eating chickens for breakfast, lunch, and fucking dinner. So the idea that we're gonna like protect some fucking chickens by waiting till later, like, no, they're just all gonna be fucking dead. Are you stupid? Not you, the royal you. You're not
I
stupid.
understand, but at the same time, there's a reason for, like, here's the thing. And this is why they always say deep state, right? Let's say, all right, think about it. All right, EPA, right? EPA is not just the administrative people in Washington D.C. They run it. You also the EPA, and a lot of it does funding to other things, right? And they have different branches, they have different offices, and they have different people who check on things like that, right? And this is why they say the deep state. Here, we work in a software company, right? And the person at the top of the software company chain might say, "We need to do this right now," right? Then it goes down the pipeline of everybody else. It goes to the managers, and it goes from the managers to the leads, and the leads to the developers and people in support, and everybody else down the road, right? And the people at the bottom who just do their job are, going to be like, okay, well, I know what they're saying. All right, we can't do exactly that, but we're keeping with the spirit of things, right? Or you do something and you present it and hey, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And then, you kind of do your job and then it works its way back up the chain. Oh, here we do this. You know what I mean? And if you have, it's a bureaucracy, right? Hopefully the horrible edicts from the top, by the time they filter their way through to the average Joes who are doing their job and actually give a shit about the environment, because that's why they wanted to be a job in the EPA. They've been there for 20 years and blah, blah, blah. You know, maybe like, all right, whatever, but they're not good. There can be good people in there making sure that, everything doesn't go to shit.
Let's talk about this idea of trickle down morality. Okay, let's talk about it in the context of the Nazis. So the Nazis started in Germany. That's where they were.
It's a
And then they
horrible
said,
analogy,
and
first of
then
all.
they started going from country to country. Okay,
Horrible
and like,
analogy. Not even relevant. Not even a relevant analogy, by the way. Okay. But sure.
okay, sure. So the Nazis went from country to country, and they took over the countries, and then they said, "Hey, you guys in this country, help us find your Jews, help us kill your Jews." Most of the people who killed Jews on behalf of the Nazis in World War II were not Germans, and they weren't Nazis.
Jesus.
Okay, so this idea that the buck will stop at the lowest common denominator, no, that's not how that's going to work. And first, for one, like, that's not how it's worked historically, as I'm pointing out with the Nazis.
Okay,
But
so
also,
so to your point and your analogy, I'm just real point. I'm just want to smack
yes,
this analogy down real fast. All
okay,
right, so
sure.
Robert F. Kennedy is now the head of Health and Human Services, right?
Hmm.
And he says, "I'm directing Health and Human Services to say that all vaccines are the devil," right? All right, cool. That comes from the top. Are you saying that every fucking hospital and every doctor and everybody else is going to be going out to their patients and now saying, "I'm sorry, sir, but the head of Health and Human Services told me that I have to tell you that vaccines are the devil, so I can't be giving you these vaccines."
No,
No,
but what they will do is they'll
oh,
just cut their funding, which is what they did.
yes, and yes, and they've always done that. And the Republicans do this shit all the time, man.
No,
They
they
do
don't.
that
They
shit
don't
all the
take
time.
$800 million away from John Hopkins every time. They don't do that all the time.
No, but they did it to the EPA. They do it to other things. They did. I mean, shit. I mean, they did it to the consumer financial. They do it to everything. They do this shit all the time, dude. I mean, they do this shit all the time. To like, I think under George W. Bush, the EPA had no money except for the fucking pay for all
They
the
don't.
vacations and
They
trips.
don't fire 50,000 federal workers in 2 months all the time, James.
No, no, they
They
don't.
don't.
But
They
luckily,
don't
they've had
project 2025 a mandate for leadership. We're gonna get rid of Title
correct.
Five and
They
and
didn't.
fucking gut the entire federal government. They don't do that. They've literally never done it before.
Correct, and actually, that's a good reason why they're having to. That's why they're losing in court, and a lot of them are. They're all coming back now.
But like, losing, here's like the assumption. Okay,
They're pushing the
the
boundaries of what they think they can do.
So
And
like that's one assumption. Okay, one assumption is like they're just like trying to see what they can get away with. They're just
oh
like
yeah,
they're like a dog who just wants to eat and is like, well, will you let me eat this off your plate? Yes or no? Okay,
if they say yes, they're
like
going to bite the hand. If they say yes, they're going to bite you. They're going to eat you. I know. I get it.
right, like
That's what they're going to do. That is their
that's
plan.
one interpretation of them. But I don't think that's what it is. Okay, they have a very specific plan. First, it is get the courts to go against you. Then it is go against the courts. Then it is take away the power of the courts. Then you're no longer impeded by the courts.
Correct.
This is the
I don't
plan.
even I don't doubt that either. But that's why I'm saying, you know what? If you're going to have that million, if that's the plan, that'll bring out millions too. If you want your millions in the streets marching, that would do it. You can get
I
your
think
mass
the only thing
protest.
that's going to get millions of people in the street is
They
when,
cut off Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security,
yes,
get a bunch of old
cut
people.
off Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. When everyone's grandpa or child,
They know
70% of
they don't do that
childbirths
though. They're never
are
going to do that.
covered by
Yeah, but
Medicare.
they're never going to do it for the old people. They always, every single time the Republicans plan, like put forth their plans to slash Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security, they they always have done the same thing. It will only apply to people who are under 55.
Well, now they're just going to say, "Oh, it's just fraud." Oh, it's fraud. Just like it's oh, they're criminals. Like it's the thing they do with the immigrants. Go back to maybe we can switch into your talk about deportations. But like the thing with immigrants is they go, oh, we're only going to come after the criminals. Then what they do is they say, oh, everyone who had a legal status now that status is illegal. So the being an immigrant is the crime. All of them are criminals. See, we're only going after criminals. We just
Mhm.
criminalized existing.
Yeah,
Huh.
they've criminalized asking for asylum. You know, they criminalized them. Yeah, and yeah, there's dozens of them, man. And they handcuffed them all. They took them out of there, and they have completely disappeared now. They're disappeared from the tracking system. They have a U.S. detainee tracking system. So we always knew where all these people were anyway, right? We knew at any given moment basically where they were, all right? And yeah, the 200 people who they flew out there, we sold them to the one of the probably the second worst prison, in the world, CCOT down there in El Salvador. Um, we paid their government $6 million for them to do whatever the fuck they want to do to these people for the rest of their life, without a court, without due process, without anything. In fact, scooping them up and flying them out of the country sometimes hours before they had their court appearances to make sure they couldn't get due process. And that's it. They're gone. They have disappeared from the U.S. detainee tracking system, so we will never again know what happens to any of them. Their names have been removed from the ICE system. These people had no criminal records. They just said Trump said they're Trenderagua, whatever, right? The gang of Venezuela, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just said it. Said they're gang members. There was like a 14, 15-year-old gay kid who's a little artist who was seeking asylum for, threats to his life and, what the gangs are down there in Venezuela, and being a 14, 15-year-old gay kid isn't too popular there. Yeah, we just swept them all up and sent them all down there. The courts ruled no, they couldn't do it. They had to turn the plane around, blah blah blah. And the circular argument the court's trying to give now is ridiculous,
Well,
but
the government, yeah.
for
So
the
the government
government,
said, like, well, we put them on the plane under the authority
alien,
where
yeah,
the
the
Illegal
Alien Enemies
Aliens
Act,
Act,
the
yeah,
Alien
the
Enemies
Alien
Act of
Enemies Act,
1798, which is
which lets
only
which
for a
lets the
time of
president
war.
deport people if they're from an enemy nation in a time of war. So if we're at war with, say, Japan,
Mm-hmm.
like in World War II, and we want to round up all of the Japanese people because we're in a war with Japan, or all the German people as we're in a war with Germany, then we can round them up and we can put them in camps and we can deport them. That's what the Alien Enemies Act is. And Trump, the government, was arguing that the gang is basically has so much control over the country that they're tantamount to the government of the country, and so we can say we're at war with the gang, and then I can do this thing. And the court said, absolutely fucking not, you can't do that. And so then they said, well, okay, well, the planes were already in the air, and now they're over international waters, and over international waters the justification for why we can continue
Which is
taking them
complete bullshit
changes
also.
to, like, well, we're in international waters, so once we've started flying there and we're out of the United States, now we're in some other jurisdiction and we can just have them land, we can have them complete the voyage under a different power that you didn't just say was complete bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they completely defied the courts, and now they're talking about impeaching justices.
Yep. And it's so sad when you read more and more of the stories of the people that were swept up in that and claimed to be in a gang, man. It's infuriating. There's a 20 something year old, or here, sorry, this one guy's 46 years old, right? Sorry, the 46 was the mom, right? He's a 20 something. Where is he? He looked like he was in his 20s. 20 something year old married guy, you know, wife here in the United States, right? They've been going to hearings and trying to get her, immigration status, done for a couple of years, right? Um, they married early 2024. They have a child. He got a clock. He got a tattoo of a clock with the time on the clock of his child's birth. Government says that tattoo is proof that he's in a gang. He has a clock tattoo. That must be a gang sign, right? He has no criminal record. They said the proof that he's in the gang is because he has no criminal record. They said the lack of information about this guy highlights that he poses such a risk.
Amazing.
Yes, they said the lack of a criminal record does not indicate that they pose a limited threat. The lack of specific information about him actually highlights the fact that he poses a risk because he has no criminal record. He's been attending all of his little hearings and everything else. They just snatched him up and now he's gone. In Venezuela, of course, they and El Salvador hate each other. They have horrible relations. I don't think they have any relations. Um, yeah.
So let me hit you with another one. Here's another fun. It's not a personal story. This is a policy thing. So my wife brought this to my attention. So and I wish I had it fresh in my brain, the numbers, but there's a specific type of petition that you can make, like an immigration petition. Okay. And normally what happens is
Oh yeah.
if there's something like a typo, or you didn't include all of the right information, or the information wasn't included in the right format, okay? Things of those nature where, like, it's not like you're
Yeah.
lying, it's just like, you didn't fill the form out the right way, any variation of that, okay? Usually what they do is they send it back and they say, hey, you didn't fill this out the right way, fill it out again and submit it. And they
Correct.
changed it. So now, instead of doing that, they made two changes. First change, they changed the requirements for the document. So if you
Mm-hmm.
submitted the document under the old standard, now they changed it. You're automatically going to fail because you submitted it under the old standard. You can't possibly pass the new standard because they changed the rules after you submitted. Okay. Now, they delayed, because of all the government filing, shutdowns of firing people and all the other bullshit, they've delayed the processing of these things. Okay. So all these people are sitting there waiting for their papers to be filed. They changed the rules. And then they changed the rule. Second thing, they changed the rule so that instead of like, hey, you didn't cross your I's and dot your T's, try again. Now you get
Notice to appear. A notice to
yes,
appear.
a notice to appear, which basically means
You're gonna get
come
deported.
on
Come here,
down to the
and we're
getting
gonna
deported office so we can put you in jail until we are ready to deport you.
to somewhere
Yeah, to somewhere, to wherever the fuck we feel
without
like.
any hearings, without any due process about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what they did to all those people, the Venezuelans. Hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, and then Pam Bondi goes on television and says they're illegal, or whatever the fuck the chick's name is.
Everybody. Yeah.
Fat fuck me Barbie, who, Levitt, I think is her name. Just like fascist lying Barbie, um, who goes out there and says,
Yeah. Caroline Levitt, or whatever Levitt.
Caroline
It's a
Leavitt.
fucking that. Yeah, I hate her. That
Yeah, just an
little snarky bitch.
absolute,
Yeah.
just an absolute like monster of a human, um, saying saying that like no, being an immigrant is the crime. Like all immigrants are illegal by definition.
Yeah, if
Like
you're
that's
asking,
the position of the
if
government.
if you come in here and say, "Please, can I have some asylum?" You are a criminal because, man, can you believe somebody asking for asylum? The gall.
Yeah. And so like really like the crime of these people is that they like, you know, they took you at your word that this was the system and this was the way to do things and they did those things to the best of their ability. And but here's like the thing. So like this isn't it's not sustainable.
Maybe
Like
why
it
it's
is
not sustainable.
it's ultimately not sustainable. Like you can't if the plan is just to destroy everything, like you can't sustain a destroy everything. Like how does the
I don't know, man. Tell that to North Korea. Tell it to Russia. Say it to fucking Afghanistan, the Taliban. I mean, shit. There's plenty of
yeah,
governments who stay in power for a really long time, and they destroy the fuck out of their own countries.
that's very true.
And if you have a loyal military, that's all you need.
I don't know that we do. I don't I guess maybe that's my hope is that like the military isn't going to be like
Military is pretty Republican, man.
I know you've destroyed the country, but I will be the boot on the neck of the remaining parts of it that are
I don't think.
unmolested.
I mean, God, man, I don't know. It'd be rough, man. It'd be rough. It's a future I hope we don't see because it would not be pretty. Because there's plenty of ruby red Republicans in the military, running military. There's a lot of them who aren't, obviously, and there's a lot of people who, even if they do, there's a lot of them who just I don't think could bring themselves to actually be drawing arms against people protesting and drawing arms against just normal Americans in the cities of America. You know what I mean? Uh, you know
Well,
what I
I
mean?
mean, you can't deploy. I don't think you can deploy troops
Well,
uh, against Americans. Like you can't. I don't think you can deploy the American military domestically.
not legally.
Not legally. Well, I mean, I guess that is why, like, they did
But what if
fire a
they're
whole bunch
terrorists?
of generals,
But
didn't
what if
they? And
they're
then they,
terrorists, Gabe? What if there was, I don't know, say 4 million terrorists in the streets of, big cities in America? Are you saying that the military can't defend the streets of America against terrorists?
that's what the National Guard's for.
No.
That is what I'm saying. Because they're not
Okay.
terrorists; they're fucking
But
protesters.
what if they invaded us? If they invaded the country? You
Okay,
see what I'm
well, if
saying?
they invaded us, then there
You
would
know where
have
I'm
to
going
be
with it.
like a large military presence, wouldn't there?
Large.
If they invaded us, you'd have to explain to me how they got
Define,
past the many layers of defense that the United States has and got troops
hey,
on the ground.
hey, it's the Alien Enemies Act, man. It was a caravan of women and children, man. They're invading us.
I feel like there's a difference between some shit that like plays on the news and like what happens in reality.
Yeah,
Like I hope.
I don't know. Either way, I'm just hoping that the courts can slow down their worst impulses for a while. People use their brains and eyes, excuse me, and sees what's really going on in time for midterms. And Democrats come in a fucking huge wave because economy is going to shit, everything else is going to shit. People see what's going on. They don't like the whole authoritarian thing, and there we go. Then if they can take back House and Senate, then there you go. Then it's cool. We can stop the worst of this shit, and you know, and then it's
Let
just
me
to ride it out for a couple more years, and then he's out. You know what I mean?
let me frame this as a different question. Okay? Let me frame it this way. It, if the argument is that Chuck Schumer is forcing us to take our medicine because he's playing the long game, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you think like giving away our only bargaining chip to let them pillage for 6 more months was the best possible decision.
Then pillaging it
At
all quickly.
at what point, okay, would you say, okay, Chuck Schumer is just like literally a traitor. He's just completely complicit. And like, and to that end, would this be the point? Would this scenario be the point? So, if they wanted to impeach a judge, a federal judge, they would need not. So Elon Musk was like, "Oh, you'd need 60 votes in the Senate." It's not 60. First of all, it's God, I can't remember which one it is. It's not a majority; it's a
67.
plurality. So
You need 67 to impeach. You need
it's
67 to
two
impeach.
thirds.
Which, by the way,
So
Elon doesn't know. He said 60 in a tweet. This is pretty funny.
yes, he said 60, and he said the Senate, but actually it would be the House because the House brings articles of impeachment,
Impeachment, and then the Senate convicts. Yeah.
and the Senate convicts. And you wouldn't need 60 senators; you'd need 67 to convict, and you would need similarly a two-thirds majority in the House to impeach. So if it gets to that point where they're like trying to impeach a judge, and Chuck Schumer says, "Oh, I'll rustle up 15, 20 Democrats to impeach this judge because fuck it, I'm complicit, obviously." In exchange for, I don't know, come on my face, daddy. Uh, then would you say that like that Chuck Schumer is a traitor throwing the game, or would he have to like I don't know, literally kill babies before you would say that?
Okay. The choice is he asked for a deal to have cum on his face, or he kills babies. Okay. Um. Well,
If
all right. If he
he
kills
helped them
babies,
impeach a judge.
if he kills babies, it depends, man. I mean, is it uh whatever, man. I don't see that happening. I mean, first of
Oh,
all, that's not realistic, man. I mean, that's
you
not a
don't think
realistic
they're you
scenario. I
don't
don't.
think they're gonna try to impeach a judge? You don't think that's
Who
coming
gives a
soon?
I don't give a shit if they do try. They're not going to get anywhere in the Senate. No, they're not going to go along with that to impeach judges. No, especially not a judge who's holding them at bay. Yeah, of course not. That's of course not. That's just.
Okay, so if Chuck Schumer
Oh God.
rustled up the votes to impeach a judge who is holding the Trump administration back, then you would agree that he is complicit.
Sure,
Okay, let's watch. Let's
sure.
wait and
I
see.
don't think that's going to happen. But oh man,
I think it's
yeah,
the same kind of complicity, same flavor.
I don't see that happening.
Did
Oh,
did you see the government shutdown being averted for literally nothing happening? Like, would you have predicted that?
well, I can predict that. I can see that easily. Yes, I could easily see that. Yes, government shutdowns never really work out for anybody. Never has. Every time it's happened, it's never been a good thing. It's never accomplished what the person who was holding up the government, like filibustering, like when the Republicans did it every other time, it
Hmm.
never got them what they wanted. It always just pisses everybody off who's holding everything up. You know, it's never it's never been a win. All it ever does is hurt the economy. It's always for a couple of weeks because everybody gets starts getting outraged, and then the party, which has always been Republicans, who's holding everything up, caves because they're like, oh, fuck, man, we can't keep this up. So then imagine. So here's the thing. Let's say it happens like every other government shutdown there has been, right? They hold everything up. Yeah, we're holding up because they want to. They because they don't want to return the spending levels to 2020 levels. I mean, that's really what they're talking about, right? Yes, it's cuts, and yes, it's big cuts, but I mean, it's not. I mean, it's it's a lot of cuts, but it's not. The Earth is crashing cuts either. You know, I mean, it sounds good. They want to cut this. They want to cut this. And we're giving them a clean. Yeah, sure. Yeah. $20 billion in cuts is a lot. 20 billion to the IRS and this billion to this. Yeah, it's a lot of cuts, but it's not exactly. The average American would never fucking notice the difference on the cuts for what's in the CR. So yeah, if you'll have the Democrats hold everything up and have the whole government get outraged for what, the Republicans like they're just tax and spend, they just want to what, we're trying to save Americans money, and they don't like the fact that we're going to fund it at the 2020 levels. That was COVID. It was before COVID. We don't need all this extra spending. We're trying to clean the economy up, and these Democrats and what would end up happening a couple weeks later, nobody gets their paychecks. Everybody who's not getting a paycheck, who lives in a Democratic place, is going to be I want my paycheck. I want my paycheck. And then they cave. And then what do? They fuck everything over for nothing, really nothing. They piss people off in the meantime, the people we need to win over for midterms that are, a year down the road, or they start running for office in a year down the road. And then we still get nothing. And then you fuck everything up, and then you really do get blamed for it. And it's not really a win. What are you going to do? What are they going to cave? What would the Democrats get? What would be the leverage? What would be the negotiating standpoint? To argue for a couple more, $20 billion more in funding to keep it at the same levels it's been at 2024? I mean, what is the big win? What is the big thing that you're going to get out of it to negotiate for that government shutdown, to avoid the government shutdown that they want to do anyway?
That's a great question. I don't have the answer to.
So, you all say that, oh, we had the leverage, we had this, what were we going to fight for? What were we going to demand? What was going to be the demand? Because they were totally cool with shutting down the government, man. Republicans, shit, they champion it every fucking time there's a debt ceiling vote. And I mean, God, if nothing of the last 10, 15 years has proved anything, it's that they don't give a shit about paying our bills. They just want to cut shit. And if it has to shut the government down, they don't really give a fuck. Democrats are always the ones who are like, okay, we can't tank the economy in the country. Okay, let's do this. And even Mitch McConnell and Boehner and everybody before him and Kevin McCarthy, every single one of the quote responsible, well, not even normally you would never say they're responsible, but everybody who's in the power of a House Speaker, the position of power, majority leader or the minority leader on the Republican side, they always knew, hey, you gotta fucking keep the country going. It's a good political thing. It's good to argue about, but when it comes down to it, nobody wins with the government shutdown. I think Schumer realized that. And what were they going to argue for? I don't even know what they would argue for.
I mean, so this goes back to like last week's episode about what is it that the Democrats want, and
Yeah,
the fact that it is like a laundry list of things that is so long,
yeah.
right? So, like, what are we bargaining for?
On that,
Some collection of the many things we want.
yeah. And this is the government funding bill. This is the continuing resolution. The bill. This is the budget. What are we going to get in that? What are we going to argue? Like, okay, you guys can cut $20 billion from this, and you can eliminate this if we get blah. You know what I mean? It's not clear what they're going to argue for in that. Basically, I think what the Democrats want to do is, hey, let's just kind of keep everything going. Let's keep and just kind of, because usually Republicans don't usually want to do anything. The reason why Republicans don't pass a lot of laws is because they don't give a fuck. They don't want to pass any laws. They don't. They want to shut down stuff in the government. They want to cut stuff. They don't want to pass laws. They don't want to do anything unless it's something like, let's stop trans people from living. Let's stop gay people from getting married. Let's stop you know
But all those things boil down to, let's say that the problem is anything except what the problem is. When the problem is that the rich people are squeezing the poor
Yeah, that's
ever
all they want to
tighter.
do, and that's all they're doing to shut down all these things. It'd be a gift to them. Hey, shut down all the government. Let's just go to a bare bones government. Shut everything down. We'll close everything we don't like. Hey, Democrats get blamed for everything. Eventually they're going to cave. We'll make it even worse, man. We'll just shutter all these agencies now that everybody's already had to leave the building. We're not going to reopen these ones. Let them fight us in court for those ones, and then they say they don't pay all that money, and there's their money to give more money to rich people quicker. I don't know. I don't think it wouldn't be a very big win for the Democrats had they shut it down. I see the anger with it. I don't like giving anything to them, but it was kind of a lose lose. It was kind of lose lose, man. Either way, that's why I don't. I was pissed at first. I was like, holy shit, what a fucking bitch move. That's the first thing I was thinking too. I was like, what a bitch.
But
And I
like
was like,
honestly,
what
like
the
I
fuck
don't,
is
but I
this?
don't, I don't want them to. I don't want them to horse trade. That's the thing. Is like ultimately, I don't want them to horse trade. What I want
So
is for everyone to have their pants on fire, so they run outside and throw a fit about it. That's the
yeah,
thing that I want. I want 20 million people in the street
all right.
until, I don't know, Trump is no longer president.
Then know what? Here's the thing. I think most Democrats, me and Schumer and everybody else pretty much agree with that. But do you want 20 million people in the streets because they're pissed off at the Democrats?
the idea of like the idea that they're gonna say that it's the Democrats is again, it's
They would
just
say we
so
have
ludicrous.
53. They would say we have 53 Republican senators, and we passed this in the House. We have 53 Republican senators, and we want to fund the government, keep it open. And these minority party, obstructionist party, is keeping you from getting paid.
It's a you have to do WWMMD. Okay, what would Mitch McConnell do? And I'll tell you what Mitch McConnell would do. Mitch McConnell would say, "You will give me something, or you will watch the world burn. Those are your options. Pick." And then at least they could say, "Well, I know we were like ineffective at contesting his speech, and we're ineffectively opposing him on social media, and we're ineffective in every other way. But hey, we got this win.
Well,
We got this one. We got something. We got anything. Ask for something. They could have asked for something like if the point was to just be like, hey, we negotiated and we got a win. Like if they had gotten literally anything, if they had been like, I tell you what, like we'll give you 10 votes, but you got to give me literally anything, a token, something. Be like, oh yeah, there's like we got like $1 billion less in cuts to across the board and all these different. We saved 10,000 jobs over 15 years. A completely meaningless, fucking pithy nothing, right?
well,
Then you can at least say you got something.
well. Do
That
you
you
know
had
what?
a spine that you negotiated.
Well, if you say what would Mitch McConnell do, all you have to do is look at 2014 when Mitch McConnell and the Republicans they led at the time was the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. 16 days. It was 16 days because they didn't want the Affordable Care Act to go into effect. And remember all the ads about that? It was so unpopular. Affordable Care Act, right? And
Well, Affordable Care Act very popular. Obamacare very
now,
unpopular.
but at the time it wasn't, which is why the Democrats lost their ass in the House and Senate and everything after that passed. It was super unpopular for a few years until things started kicking in later, right? But do you know what Mitch McConnell got for that 16-day shutdown?
Where'd he get?
You got 81% of Americans who disapproved of him. 86% said it damaged the United States' image in the world. And 53% of the country held Republicans in Congress accountable for the shutdown, even though they were the minority party. And know what he ended up getting for it out of the legislation?
What?
Absolutely nothing. They ended up just, okay, fine, pass it, sign it, done. They got
Okay.
nothing. They got
Let me
nothing
ask you
for it. They
this.
got blame. They got nothing for it.
Cool. Okay. Let me ask you this. Who won the presidential election in 2016?
Well, in 2016, it was it was Obama against Romney. But who
No.
won the House and Senate?
No, that's 2012.
Oh, sorry, 2016. Shit, I'm sorry, 2012. Yeah, 2008, 2012,
2016. It
2016.
was Donald Trump.
Trump. Yes. Okay.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Republicans got blamed so hard that they got a fucking moron elected.
Yeah, but who won in 2014 in the House and Senate?
I don't know.
Republicans in a fucking landslide. Fucking mopped the floor with Democrats.
Was that before or after the shutdown?
That was it was after.
It was after. Okay, so see, the Republicans were so admonished by having the largest
Yeah,
government
that's true.
shutdown in history that they had a landslide win in the midterms and then won the fucking presidency the next time. Oh no, I would hate for the Democrats to have a similar outcome.
Actually, let me look at that. Let me look at that. Let me look that up real fast, okay? Because they had one big 2014 elections. Let me look that up real fast. I just want to make sure. 2014 elections. Let's see. Oh yeah, they did fucking win. They won 9 Senate seats, the largest gain for any party since 1980. What
See,
about the House?
you are making my point for me.
All right,
They came out and they said, "Hey,
so they
guess
were
what?
blamed for it.
They said, "Hey, guess what? You want to dance? We're gonna fuck."
Yeah.
Like,
God, what's
you
wrong
you
with
want to fight?
Americans? What's wrong with
You
Americans? We all blame you for this, and you did this, and you tanked the economy, and you hurt us, and yeah, we then voted for the Republicans because
because
we were
they
mad about the
because
economy was
they
so bad. Jesus.
because they look strong, bro.
Yeah.
Because they look like they are a united front that has a mission
Yeah.
and a plan, and they're going to fight for it, and they will die on that hill for you. That's all we care about, bro. This
Oh
is why
wow.
this is the at the heart of why everyone is so pissed at
Oh.
Schumer, because he, more
Actually,
than
no.
like
Here's why
giving
they won.
it away for nothing, he showed an unwillingness to fight.
No, that's also not why they won either. God, do you know what turnout was that year?
Low.
33.9%. God, Jesus.
Well, people were not excited about Obama.
Oh, wow.
I didn't like honestly. I didn't vote for Obama the second time. First, Obama won. That was the first time I ever got to vote in an election. Jesus,
Hmm.
that it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. Man, that was a while ago. That was the first time I ever got to vote in an election. Was for Obama the first time, and I was so proud to vote for him. Then the way that he came in with a mandate. Like, he came in, he had the court, he had the White House, he had the House, he had the Senate, and he didn't do shit with it, honestly. And I was so disappointed by like the hope and change sales pitch not matching the business as usual delivery, that I was like, fuck it, I can't, I'm not gonna vote for a Republican, but I'm not voting for you either. Like, good luck, you're on your own. Fuck off.
Hmm.
And I didn't vote in those midterms either in 2014 for the same reason.
Yeah.
I guess that one's my fault, though. I should have. I should have.
Yeah.
I'm very. I have been very naive, because you remember I thought that Trump winning the first time would wake the country up and teach
Yeah.
us that, like, it would rattle the Democratic Party into, a party that delivers change, like meaningful change, revolutionary change, like the sort of stuff that Bernie advocates for, or AOC advocates for, or Elizabeth Warren advocates
People
for.
don't
I
pay
thought that
attention
that
enough,
wing of
man.
the party would come in
Nope.
and raise the minimum wage and give us free healthcare and make it so there's a public option for schools, and just like really flip the game and transfer a bunch of wealth back into the middle class and raise the floor on poverty. And the exact opposite happened.
Yeah.
So I don't have any more naivete now. Like, I don't. I have none. I have no illusions about Chuck Schumer saving us. I think the only thing that saves us is like that video that I sent you, that I'll link in the thing, is like 3.5 people, 3.5% of people in the streets, a sustained protest with all of the infrastructure that it takes to keep 10 million people paying their rent and staying in the streets and demanding change. That's the thing that saves us. I don't think America has a taste for it. I think we're too fat and happy and lazy, and we're too, oh, I'm just going to vote and tweet about it, and that'll be enough, because it has been.
Yeah.
And that belief is why I want everyone's feet to be on fire, because I don't think that there's anything else that's going to get them out there. I don't think that anything short of them all being out there is going to save us, because it's not a slow moving coup this time. It's a fast moving coup. It's like one of the fastest coups of all time.
Would be a hell of a lot faster if they did shut down. Apparently, that's one of the like some of the Republican senators were talking to Chuck Schumer before, and they were kind of laughing about it, because they kind of had the Democrats in the bind. That's what he
Mm.
said. He said one of the Republican senators told him, if we go to shutdown, we're going to be in this thing for 6 to 9 months until we destroy everything we want. So because they were okay with that, because in the event of a shutdown, you know, the executive can now choose what they do, how they spend all the money, who they keep open, whatever. You know, I know it could have the acceleration argument is what you're saying. The acceleration argument. You were hoping that they would do it and just fucking usher in the Bernie wave of outrage, because they would just go so far, so fast, so quick, and just everything, and that would do it. But I mean, shit, didn't do it the first time. People came out, and a lot of people protested with the kids in cages, and that was about the biggest demonstrations. You had the fucking pussy hats that didn't do shit, but it pissed off Trump early on with the stupid pink hats. You know
There
what I
was
mean?
a massive women's march.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. The pussy hats, the pink hats. Remember the women's march? That was right off the bat. That was right off the bat.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, though. That was before they even had a chance to do anything. They hadn't even done anything yet. He'd been in office for like fucking what? Not even a week, 4 days. And they hadn't done shit yet. And all of a sudden, oh, it's a big, huge march. Okay, well, yeah, looks good. People are outraged. People are mad. It showed him that we're gonna protest. We're gonna march. We're gonna do stuff. But it wasn't for anything. Didn't do anything. It wasn't even for anything.
No, people kept protesting, man. Then there was
Yeah.
BLM all through the summer, and there was, mass protests and riots.
Yeah,
Like,
but that wasn't exactly against Trump. That was against police brutality. That was a targeted thing. Black Lives Matter, police shooting people. That wasn't an anti-Trump thing. That was
that's true.
more of
They
a
did have a very specific mission. This is
yeah.
very true.
So I mean, but like against, I'm saying demonstrations against the executive, against Trump. The big ones were for the kids in cages, and that did bring people out, and they got them to stop stuff, and they kind of walked it back a little bit. I mean, they didn't totally stop, but they walked back some of the things they're doing, and that was pretty much it.
Okay, but to my point on BLM,
Yeah,
okay, when everyone saw that officer put his knee on, they saw Devin
yeah, no.
Chauvin put his knee on
Derek Chauvin.
uh, Derek Chauvin. And God, I'm
Yeah,
so sorry. I'm forgetting the name of the man he killed. What was his name?
I can't breathe. Hold on,
Hold on. We
Jesus.
can't continue until we look it
There's
up.
there were a lot of ones there, but it was yeah, George Floyd. That was the George Floyd one.
George Floyd. I'm
There was
so
a lot
sorry.
of things.
George
I mean, there
Floyd.
was Jesus.
Right.
There was a
Yeah, there
lot
was
of
a there was a
killing.
whole series of them, but like when people saw a 9-minute video of Derek Chauvin with his knee on George Floyd's neck, they
Mhm.
saw themselves under that knee. And that's why they came out into the streets. Everyone saw it, everyone felt the pain of it, and so
Mhm.
everyone came out to say fuck this shit. And that is the sort of pain that you would cause in a government shutdown. Because like here's the other thing that's going to happen. Like it's happening slowly, I would even say it's probably happening faster than like, slowly raising the water to a boil. Like it's faster than that. But, everyone's 401k has lost 15 to 30%, you know? Like Elon Musk has lost like 30% of his net worth, by dollar count. Like all the gains from the whole market across all the, you know, the all the
Pioneer.
tech CEOs who came to the inauguration, they've all lost all the gains they got, like the bump in net worth they all got right after the election. Like it's all evaporated.
Yeah.
So like that would have just accelerated.
That's a dangerous game to play.
I
Hey,
think that
let's
like
purposely fuck over the entire country. Something that we say that they're going to do. That they probably will do, given the authority that given the power we'll give them if we do the shutdown immediately. And let's purposely fuck over the whole country so that they do what we think they will do.
who's the like CEO or the president of Project 2025? What was that guy's name? Kevin something, I think.
Um,
You know what I'm talking
well,
about?
there's a lot of people.
No, but he was like
You're talking
the
about the
the
Heritage
head.
Foundation guy, the guy, the Heritage Foundation. You mean the guy from the Heritage Foundation?
I thought he maybe
Yeah,
the
he's the
guy
guy
who
from the Heritage
said
Foundation. I know what you're talking about.
who said
One of the shitty, the blood,
the
there'll be
right
coolest.
is
It'd be
the
the
right is
cool,
enacting a coup that
the
will
coup.
remain
It'll be
bloodless
bloodless if the left allows it.
if
Yeah,
the left allows it.
Kevin
That
Roberts.
guy,
Yeah,
okay?
Kevin Roberts. Yeah.
Kevin Roberts,
Yep.
right? The this coup will remain bloodless if the left allows it. So don't allow it to remain bloodless. Like, can you name a single revolution that wasn't bloodless? Like this opposition to
Actually,
rising
there's been many.
fascism is fucking pathetic.
There's been lots of bloodless revolutions, by the way.
Were,
Think
were they
of
were they bloodless anti-fascist revolutions?
how about bloodless anti-communist
Where?
Russia?
Where was there? Huh?
Russia.
Anti-communist?
Yes.
Russia ended communism without bloodshed.
Yeah. I
I don't
mean,
think I've. That just on its face seems like a nonsense statement.
what are you talking about, dude?
They didn't kill anyone.
Didn't you see when all the tanks were out there? The government had all the tanks in there, and people and they wouldn't shoot anybody, and they were all out there, man. They're all around the Kremlin, and nobody was firing shots, man. You know what I mean? They weren't firing shots, and then he went back in there into power. Then a couple weeks later, it's like, yeah, we're dissolving the Soviet Union, man, and let it out, and all the countries just started dropping off and leaving. It wasn't. It was a bloodless. It was a bloodless revolution. There's been a lot of other ones too, man. Um, there's been a lot of non-violent and some bloodless ones, So
I don't know. I'm thinking about the
Bulgaria,
Maidan.
Bulgaria, the Velvet Revolution, bloodless revolution in Czechoslovakia. They brought down the communist government there. They called it the Peaceful Revolution in East Germany. That's what they called it. It was 1989, the Peaceful Revolution. 1987, the Singing Revolution. Estonia,
Okay, but
Lithuania, Latvia. I mean, this.
no,
I
okay,
mean,
but
there's.
the so many people died
I know
in
during
in
the.
Germany. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it wasn't bloodless at all.
Well, yeah, but I'm
Like
talking about the actual. Hey, revolution. We're leaving. We're out. We're done with this shit.
yeah, like there
That
wasn't like a big like armies clashing on the field or just like, killing 1,000 protesters with tanks
one.
incident. But that doesn't mean that no one died
Yeah.
during, before, and after.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we have a chance here at having a. I think it's just like you said. The this they're executing a coup and it will remain bloodless if we let it. If we don't stand up and fight, then and we just let them take over and we roll over every time, you know, we would have to get some blood on our hands to continue fighting, then sure, it'll be bloodless and they'll get to take over without us doing anything to fight back.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, let's switch topics.
That's yeah.
Um, I'm yes, it's a downward spiral. Okay, we don't think it's going good. On to something else before the episode ends. So, I saw this video. It was a YouTube channel I really like. It's like called like LBC. It's like a
Long,
British
uh,
call-in radio show. They
not
talk
Long
about
Beach.
politics.
Okay.
Yeah, and the topic they wanted people to call in um, was about paying taxes. And there was a guy who called in. He's like, "Hey, like I'm really wealthy, and like I paid over £1 million in tax last year,
Okay.
and like I'm happy to pay taxes, but like where does it end? Like because like if you have somebody who's like a salary employee, they're getting £1 million, like sure, you want someone to pay taxes on their earnings. That's one thing. But what in my case, like I'm a business owner, so like when I pay £1 million in tax, like it's not like money that I was going to put in my pocket. It was money that I was going to use to spin up some new arm of some business. Like it's people who I can't hire and it's deals that I can't make because I paid this tax. So like for someone in this position, where's the incentive for me to continue? And so I thought about this and I had an answer. And I wrote this comment. I'm just going to kind of read from it. Um, with your tax, you buy the things that money cannot buy, what, such as walking down a city street and having no one beg, walking through a park and seeing no tents, your wife or daughter or mother feeling safe to ride the subway alone at night and walk home. You buy a world where there are no bad neighborhoods, where people do not get sick as often because they're healthy, and thus they do not get you sick so often. You get a world where businesses compete for everyone's dollar instead of annoying and monopolizing us into dissatisfied submission. You get millions of additional educated people working to solve the problems in your life: travel, discomfort, death, danger, traffic, connection. You also get to avoid war, visit preserved nature. You get more free time, a longer life, a healthier life, roads to drive on. You literally cannot buy these things on your own. The only way to buy them is to buy government that works. Is another million in the bank more valuable than a world worth living in? Put it another way, what has always happened in history is wealth inequality grows to a point that people would rather kill than continue to die slowly. And there is a violent revolution, and some changes are made. And we start the clock on the whole thing repeating. Do you want to be the one saying, let them eat cake when the masses reach their breaking point and come for you? I bet not. And like the other thing that I didn't mention there that I was thinking of as I was writing this was about how like in San Francisco, where you have the tech monopoly, um, and you have like such a massive concentration of wealth that like the people you need to like run the city, like the garbage men, the teachers, the police officers, the firefighters, the people who work in the restaurants that you want to eat at, cannot afford to live in the city. So they all have to buy property like an hour away and then commute in to work at McDonald's in the city because the cost of living there is so expensive because so many people have this like massive amounts of tech money.
Yeah.
And at the same time as they have this massive wealth,
Yeah.
excuse me, uh, they have like one of the worst homeless problems in the world.
Hmm.
You know, like you can't walk down the street in San Francisco without smelling shit and piss because they just shit on the sidewalk everywhere because there's
Well,
so many homeless. So like that's what you buy with paying more tax. You buy a world where you can live in a city and have people who live there who work there live there like because they can afford to live there. You get a world where you can walk down the street and not have to smell shit and piss because there are no homeless people.
yeah,
What
but that's assuming that you care about there being homeless people, and you know,
helicopters are cheaper.
I mean, here, if you live in a nice mansion and a really ritzy, subdivision and gated community, and you have a driver take you to all the nice places that are away from that, what do you care?
You just buy your way above the fray basically.
Yeah, that's what they want. That's what they do. They don't see it. You think Donald Trump sees the homeless people everywhere? You think he? You think he sees them?
I think Donald Trump didn't understand the concept of groceries until like
There
6 months ago. Because
you
like
go.
he's like, you guys heard of this thing called groceries? Like, what a word, groceries. I've started using the word lately because people like when I say it. I don't
I
really know
like
what
when
it
we use the word
means because
groceries.
like I just like pay my chef to like produce food for me and then I eat it, or I go to
Yeah.
McDonald's when I'm slumming it. So like, I don't even know what a
He doesn't
grocery
even pick up his own
is, but
McDonald's.
like,
Gross,
what a
that's
word.
whatever. Yeah, I mean, exactly. They don't give a shit about homeless people. And here's the thing: stop paying the taxes for all that stuff and just lock up those people. Just get them out of there. I mean, there's cops. I mean, here they do in Texas and other places. They just I mean, they literally just go through there in other places too. They've done this where they just like they take all the homeless people stuff. If they have a shopping cart and like a bag with some stuff in there, like a blanket and maybe something else, a couple things that they've gotten, maybe another a jacket and something else in a backpack, right?
Mhm.
They just take it and they throw it away, and then they lock them up. And they don't let them keep their belongings because they're homeless, and then they just move them. They lock them up, take them away. Oh, you can't have a tent. You can't have this. You can't just take it away, throw it away, burn it, you get rid of it. Take their property, what little thing they have, the little things that they just have on them, on their person, take away, get rid of it. Then they go put them in a squad car, and here you go. That was all littering. And then just get rid of them. Take them somewhere else. Take them and put them in jail. Who cares? Whatever. Just get them out of here. I don't want to see them. Maybe they die. Hey, cool, win. If they all die, that's a win for them. They don't care. They just don't want. They just don't care. It's called not having any empathy whatsoever, any human compassion whatsoever, and just not wanting to deal with the problem. Just don't want to see it. That's their
That, that's their what? Sorry, go ahead.
that's their mo. They always do. They don't want to spend money on mental health. Most of the people who are homeless are mentally. There's a reason. You know, they don't want to
Yeah.
spend the money on that. They don't want to. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to have any kind of like food stamps or nutrition assistance or living assistance or energy assistance. They don't want any of that stuff. That just encourages laziness. They just want to cut them off and hopefully they die. That is their plan.
I mean, on the one hand, I want to say like, you can't make everybody homeless at once, because then you don't have people to work for your companies and buy the goods that you make and like the economy grinds to a halt. But to your point, like in this, I'm gonna link this video, but it's Kara Swisher, like a longtime Silicon Valley reporter who was really close to Elon Musk, talking about Elon Musk for like an hour, and like how he was radicalized and like what his motivations are.
Hmm.
And like a big part of what radicalized him was when Biden didn't invite him to the electric vehicle summit,
Yeah.
and he was like, because he was very anti-union, and Biden was very
Hmm.
pro-union, so they didn't invite him. But like he was so offended by that he got Donald Trump elected,
Yeah.
and then and he has this like complex of like a lot of these guys do, where they they pretend to be masculine because they're not tough guys, and they pay lip service to inclusivity and empathy and liberal ideals, but like it's not really important to them. um and what they and like some of them care about the money, but most of them don't even really care about the money. They just care about being the one who gets to make the decisions. Like they just want to decide. That's the thing that they actually care about.
Hmm.
And Elon Musk has the same thing, where he just wants to make all the decisions. And the thing that they do, they think about the way that they talk, like move fast and break things. And like they always want to break everything, but they don't have a plan for what to replace it with. They just want to like break it and get the current thing out of the way. They had a much more interesting conversation about how maybe what Elon Musk was doing, like the way he's putting his thumb on the scale of government, is like breaking all of this like broken bureaucracy that like sits and like doesn't do anything, doesn't accomplish anything for such long periods of time. But it's just like we got to break it before we can put something new in, because like this ain't working.
Well, so far they're not breaking. So far they're not doing anything that's broken. They're just breaking things that were working well, and causing hundreds of thousands of deaths around the world in the meantime too, especially with USAID.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of deaths at the hands of the US. Not directly, but through inaction, through revoked promises.
Okay, let's move into um, predictions and what could go right.
What could go right? I'll start with there. What
Okay,
could
yes,
go right?
please. I need some.
What could
Give
go
me some
right?
hope.
Schumer's gamble pays off. Government reopen. Well, the government stays open. Courts keep finding that, hey, you cannot shut these agencies down. Only Congress can do that. And you are not Congress, executive branch. And hey, the Institute of Peace, that is a non executive branch institution that you had Doge go into with guns. You can't close them down. They're not a part of the executive branch. You had no authority. Everything has to get reopened. Supreme Court doesn't want to piss off Donald Trump, but they don't want to say this is okay. They just decline to hear the case. And they leave lower court rulings, or they just keep it bouncing around forever until they don't have to worry about dealing with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then normalcy is returned a little bit, and it really slows it back. Things keep going bad slowly, and and Schumer's gamble pays off. Republicans pay a huge price in the midterms because I don't think they could get rid of elections that quick. I think we'll still have midterm elections.
Mm-hmm.
And if we get midterms, Democrats retake the House and Senate. I don't think they would be able to pull off a coup in a big nationwide election. Especially if they're held in the Senate. Um, that's what could go right.
Man, I hope. I I I I want to be wrong so badly. Like nothing would make me happier
Yeah,
than to just be um,
pleasantly surprised with
an anxious alarmist, just like you know,
the worst.
screaming at the clouds and everything is okay, and the adults in the room have everything under control and it all works out in the end. And, you know, the long arm of time bends toward justice. Nothing would make me happier.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I
I think that's what could go right. I mean,
That's what could go right.
it's still at best 50-50. I mean, that's at best. That's being generous. So, like, what could go right?
Could go right. I want to
I
like.
I don't expect that to happen. I expect them to say "fuck you, judges." I expect them to. I expect them to do what Thomas with what his favorite Andrew Jackson did. Oh, the Supreme Court said I couldn't do that. Well, I'd like to see them enforce it and just do whatever the fuck they want to do. That's what I expect them to do.
I guess like my. I'm tempted to use my what could go right to like totally detour and go talk about the ceasefire, which we didn't get
Oh
to.
yeah,
Which, but maybe we can come back to. But I'll do my. I'll more genuinely do my what could go right. And if you got a couple more minutes to talk about that, we can talk about that. Here's my what could go right. Okay, it's similar to yours. The we could thread the needle. We could uh we could get just enough people just mad enough because of just enough destruction that we just barely turn the tide and don't go all the way over the cliff into fascism and
mm-hmm.
autocracy.
That's
So
what
I
I'm
guess
hoping
it's
for.
I guess maybe it's cheating because I'm kind of just using the same what could go right. But I mean, if there's anything to hope for, I guess it's just that we're not fucked. So
Yeah,
that's my what could go right.
that's all we can hope for right now.
Okay, so
And
to
what else can go
go
right? Know what else can go right?
what?
And it's already on that trajectory. By the end of the year, Tesla could have to fucking just shut down and close up shop.
Oh, that would be good. That's a good one.
It could happen. They've dropped over half their value, half the value in a month.
And nobody wants to buy their cars anymore,
Oh, surprisingly. Like yeah, like they were talking about this on the
except
Bulwark
Trump.
podcast, right? And
Yeah.
he's like, go figure. The population, the overwhelming majority of people who wanted to buy these cars because they kind of wanted lower carbon emissions, they just think it's a cool car and everything. Those people. Elon Musk, the CEO, did what Michael Jordan never did. They always said, why don't you get into politics? He's like, well, because Republicans wear shoes too.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Elon Musk said, I hate you people who are buying my cars. I hate you. You are horrible people. I don't like you at all. You deserve it. You need to be in jail. You need to rot in hell. And starts doing Nazi
Hmm.
salutes. And so everybody who wanted to buy a Tesla is vilified by the guy who runs Tesla. And then now their only saving grace is to try to convince all these Republicans who've been for years, saying that anybody who drives a Tesla is a fucking cuck and a little weenie guy, and you're buying your little electric vehicle, right? Now you have to convince them that that's the sign of masculinity. If you want to ride with the real MAGA people, you're going to ride a Tesla. You're not going to drive a big old truck. You know what I mean? Unless
Yeah.
you get the ugliest cyber truck that doesn't function as a truck. It's just a smooth stainless steel canvas, which is perfect for spray paint.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you got to convince all these people that you don't want a big truck, you want a Tesla, you want an EV. And plus, not only that, like the rival electric cars, they're not even the best electric car anymore.
Yeah, they're
Every
not.
almost every other electric vehicle now is killing them.
They haven't like
They
done
haven't innovated
anything
anything.
new. They're still
Yeah.
selling the same like,
Yep. Yep.
goofy looking designs
Yeah.
from
So
15
yeah,
years ago.
a year from now, I mean, the only thing that's going to save them is what the Trump administration is trying to do, ordering, hundreds of thousands of Tesla Cybertrucks for the military now. You know,
I don't think that's going to be enough. Like
well, no, not to save a
they
whole.
have
I
to
mean,
turn something around.
he could keep a. Well, the only thing that's ever kept Elon Musk making money is government subsidies.
Well, and
It's just
selling
government.
the
Yeah,
credits, right? For
yeah, it's government
the
subsidies. Yeah, that's contracts with SpaceX and this everything. The government subsidies, the carbon tax. It's all
yeah, carbon
government
credits. That's what
welfare.
I'm
It's
thinking
just
of.
it's just corporate welfare. Corporate welfare is his only source of real income
Yeah, I
for
mean,
all of his
China can just
businesses.
seize his factories. We know, like Europe isn't buying his cars, America's not buying his cars, but like
Yeah, man. In Europe, 90 Germany, where they make the cars in Germany, right? They have the Gigafactory in Berlin, right? 97% of Germans said they would never buy a Tesla now because of his
yeah,
Nazi salute and everything else, the Roman salute. Yeah, he's a
and
fucking Nazi. And so,
the
yeah,
resale value is
plummeted.
plummeted.
It's nothing. Yeah, they can't even give him away now. Yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah,
Tesla. I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla's goes away in a year, and then the richest man in the world, poof, his company's gone. And then all he has is whatever he can suck off the tit of American government, because he won't even have a product to have an inflated stock price.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're out of time. Was
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
We are
Okay.
definitely out of time. So, all right. Let's hope for
Closing thoughts.
let's hope for the
Tesla
pleasant
is your
thoughts.
closing thoughts.
Yep. No, that's good.
That's a good closing
I'm
thought.
really sorry that we didn't have time to talk about Ukraine and Russia, but it doesn't really matter. There's nothing really to talk about. Here, I can sum it up in 5 seconds before we say goodbye.
All right.
Don't read the paper and say, "Oh wow, there's a ceasefire." There's no ceasefire. There never was a ceasefire. They just wanted to announce the word Putin and Zelensky ceasefire, and 2 seconds later, Russia launched a whole bunch of attacks, and there is no ceasefire, and the Russians are still committing war crimes left and right. There you go. Sum it up pretty good.
You nailed it.
All right, there we go.
Nailed it.
All right. Good night, everybody. Good night, Gabe.
And good luck.
Yep. All right. Bye.